back by popular demand, we are getting into sourdough baking today. Now, today I want to share with you that in the last video that I had, I showed you how to make sourdough in 2 to 3 days. Today, I'm going to show you how to make sourdough in 1 day, because I don't know about you guys, but like when I make something, I want it that day. I almost, want it right away. So today's recipe is following the same numbers, the same metrics that are in the last video. I will link them also in this video, but I'm going to show you how to make 2 loaves of sourdough bread in 1 day. I just dropped the kids off at school and I'm going to get this started. It is about 9:30 right now. So every time that I do a new segment of the video today, I'll let you know the time markers. So if you want to make your own sourdough bread, you know that you have to kind of get it started in the morning. If you want to make it in 1 day, you get it started in the morning, and then by like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, you will have yourself a delicious loaf of sourdough bread. So let's get into the measurements and also how to feed your starter, because that's another popular question that I got, and I want to dive into that as well. So here we go. First things first, we have our sourdough starter. Now I'm going to take just a really big empty bowl. You want it to be very big, and I'm going to take 250 grams of my active starter. I'm going to show you a picture of this morning. It was like coming out of the glass, so it's going to kind of puff up, and then it's gonna start to sink a little bit, but you can see where that line is. That's where it started yesterday. So it's a very active starter. She's very bubbly. This is Franny, by the way. And I'm gonna put my active starter into the bowl to get started. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna do is, you see I have my water, I've got my tools here, I've got my kitchen scale, a really big bowl, my active starter, and my flour. This is all you need. And I'm gonna link everything in my Amazon store under sourdough so you can see all of the products that are needed. That, by the way, is the last sourdough bread, which is completely gone. Okay, so we're gonna take our starter, you're gonna turn on your scale, and you're gonna go to grams. So you can see it's on grams, you can change the unit, but we want it on grams. And we're gonna go to 250, look at this, oh, she's beautiful. We're gonna go to 250 grams of starter. Okay, you want it to be pretty exact, so let's see what that is. Okay, 259 is what we got. Okay, so there we go, 259 grams. Okay, so let me show you what we're gonna do with the starter now. Okay, so for your starter, to keep her bubbly and going and active, we're gonna just take the rest of this starter. Again, zero out your scale, so I have 0 on here. And I'm gonna just measure out how many grams are in this cup. Okay, so that's 100. Whoop. Okay, so that's 104 grams of starter right there. So now what we're gonna do to refeed her, to keep her bubbly and active, we're gonna add in 104 grams of flour and 104 grams of water to keep her going. Now, if you want to keep her active and bake with her every day, you're gonna keep her out on your counter. If you want to have her kind of go to sleep and use her for like next week, you put her in the refrigerator. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna zero that out again, and we're gonna do 104 grams of water, so 0 out. It's okay if you do a little bit more, so that's 120. And then we're gonna do 104 grams of flour. It's okay if you have more flour and water, you just want to make sure that it's more than the starter. So we're going to go to 104. So there's 70. Whoop, a little too much. That's 107. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then we're just going to take our, actually, let me use this one. We're going to take this Stir it up. And so you want to go equal parts starter, water, and flour. So we're going to stir her up. Okay, so after this, I'm going to lightly put the lid on top. I just kind of reverse the lid. So let me just clean this up a little bit. Okay, all right, so now it's here. So we're gonna draw that line and we're gonna see how much she grows. So I'm just gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna keep this in my refrigerator. And this is how you feed your starter. Super easy. And you can either keep it out and bake with it tomorrow, or you put it in your fridge and you can take it out the day before that you want to use it again. Okay, now we're going to work with our sourdough starter. So we're gonna zero out the scale, and then now we're just gonna add water and flour to get the starter going. So here we go. Okay, next, after we have our starter, we're gonna do, and this is 250 grams of active sourdough starter. We're gonna add in 735 grams of room temperature water. And you want it to be filtered water, always filtered water. So I'm gonna zero out my scale. Then I'm gonna go do 735 grams of room temperature water. So here we go, 735. 742. Okay, that's close enough. Then you're gonna take your whisk, spoon or your whisk, and you're gonna mix this up. And it's gonna start to get milky. So you're just gonna mix this up until it's completely dissolved and it's more like a milky texture. So I mix it for probably a minute. You see the bubbles, it's all milky. And that's probably good. That probably wasn't even a minute. So we're just gonna whisk that up, and there we go. Okay, now that we have our water and our starter mixed together, now we're gonna do 1,000 grams of flour. So you're gonna take your unbleached, I have farm flour, and I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna zero out my scale again, and I'm gonna do 1,000 grams of all-purpose flour straight into the bowl. So zero out my scale. So we're gonna go 1,000 grams. It's a lot of flour. We're making 2 loaves. So keep in mind, this is gonna be 2 loaves. So we're at 5,443. Okay, 1,000, maybe just a little scoop out. Okay, so now we're just gonna start mixing this together, and it's gonna get to the point where the consistency you're gonna see is turning into dough. This is when I like to get my hands messy, and I like to just I like to put a glove on. I put a glove on and I just mix it with my hands once I can't mix it with the spatula anymore. So here we go. So you want to wet the glove a little bit just so it's not super sticky and you can actually get it off the spatula. So you're going to just wet your glove and get the rest of that sourdough goodness off of there. And then I'm just going to go in with my hands and start to knead it. And you're going to knead it here for about 5 to 10 minutes. So it's definitely an arm workout. All right, 5 minutes, here we go. At this point, I'm just still kneading the dough. Again, it's a lot of dough. For it to be fully incorporated, you want it to be about 10 minutes. You'll know when everything's fully incorporated because you'll see that it won't consist of all this flour anymore. Let me bring it a little bit closer for you guys so you can see what we're working with. So 5 minutes of just kneading it. Again, it's a great arm workout. Okay, and I'll show you the final product here in 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, so we have our sourdough. And I want to mention a couple things. So after you do all your mixing and you have like your sourdough starter that, the container, like the mason jar that you had it in, also the same thing as your whisk, clean them right away. Because if you don't clean these right away, the sourdough will get so hard and stick to whatever, your sink, your whisk, your mason jar. It will get so rock solid, like cement hard. It will take you scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing to remove it later. So as soon as you're done using anything that has sourdough on it that you don't want it to, other than your bowl, your knife, your whisk, a bowl, a mason jar, clean it right away, because you don't want to have to try and like worry about getting that off later, because it's just going to be so much of a headache. So now let me just show you what we're going to do next. So now that we have the sourdough dough ready, okay, so we have this right now. We needed this for about, 5-10 minutes. After you need it for 5 or 10 minutes, you're just gonna take a bowl or a plate or whatever and cover your bowl, okay? So you're gonna cover that. Now at this point, okay, I'm gonna cover it, there we go. Now at this point, you have 2 hours. You don't have to babysit this. You can leave it out on your counter. You can go take a shower. You can go work out. You can go work. You can go play with the kids. You can do whatever you want. You have 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours to just let this sit out and let it start to rise, okay? So it doesn't have to be babysat. The nice thing about sourdough is it does take a lot of time, but you don't have to actively babysit it the whole time. So you're gonna let this sit out, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you the next step. Now, just to give you time markers, it's about 10 o'clock. So I'm gonna wait until 10 to 11, 11 to 12. So 12 o'clock, I'm going to come back and we're gonna add some salt and some water. That's only the next step that we're gonna do. It's very easy. We incorporate that in and then it gets to sit again. So again, not super labor intensive. It does take a lot of time, but not a lot of like physical manual labor time. It's just a lot of time during the day, little bits and pieces here and there. So I'm gonna say goodbye to her. I'm actually going to go get some work done. I'm gonna put my weighted vest on. I'm gonna go walk on the treadmill and get some work done, because your girl's gotta get her cardio in today. I already did my weighted workout for today. Now I gotta get my cardio in, but I'm just gonna let Franny sit and chill, and we're gonna come back to her in 2 hours. So I will see you soon. Okay, so what you're gonna do now is take 24 grams of salt and 50 grams of water and mix that into your dough. So we're just gonna put the salt in there, and then 50 grams of water. Again, measure this all out on your scale, on your kitchen scale, and then you're just gonna knead all of this in here until it's all mixed up together. And you're really just gonna kind of pinch it and knead it for 5 to 10 minutes and just let that salt get incorporated. So again, you'll feel when the salt is no longer grainy and it's dissolved into the bread. And then after we mix this up for 5 to 10 minutes, you're gonna let this sit again for a good amount of time. This is gonna be the second rise that you're gonna let your loaf do. So let's knead this all in together, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about what we do next. Okay, so the final part of this process here is you're gonna just continue to knead the salt and the water. Then after you knead this in, and you can't feel that salt anymore, and it's really like just dissolved, you're going to cover this back up for 4 to 5 hours. So you're gonna see that the next time you come back to this in 4 to 5 hours, it's gonna double in size. So the loaf is gonna expand. We have that last rest that we do, and then we're gonna be able to start taking it out and getting to the process where we're rolling it, we're kneading it, we're building tension. So the only thing you have to worry about now is putting in your salt, putting in your water, kneading that in, and then you're good to go for 4 to 5 hours. Now, if you were to get to this point and you wanted it to actually rest overnight, you could cover it, put it in your refrigerator for like 8 hours, and then do the second part of this process tomorrow morning. But because I want the bread today, we're gonna do all of this right now. So this bread's gonna be ready by dinner time. I can already feel the salt kind of just getting mixed in here and the water being incorporated. So it's almost good to go. And the consistency will not be as wet either. So all you gotta do is mix the salt, mix the water in, and then let it sit for 5 hours. Okay, I'll see you back soon. Okay, so now we're at one of the final steps of the sourdough making process. So I actually let my sourdough sit instead of 5 hours for about a little over 4. So you can go 4 to 4.5 if it's sitting out on the countertop. And let me show you what we have here. Are you ready? Look how amazing that sourdough is. It's been rising, it's still bubbling. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is gonna be an amazing sourdough. So now I'm gonna show you what the next steps are. The stretch and folds, building tension, how to do these next steps. So let me show you. It's so much fun, so easy. And then we're gonna let it set for another 2 hours in the fridge. While that sits in the fridge for 2 hours, I'm gonna take the kids over to Taekwondo. So by the time I get back, I'll still have probably 30 minutes until I will put it into its containers and then for it to go in the oven. So you'll see, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I just wanted to show you the next step of this process. So what I like to do is get a cutting board, have my flour, and then my bench scraper. So those are the items that you're gonna need for this next step. So let's go. Okay, so this next part is really fun. You're just gonna take your flour and you're gonna flour your surface. I like to use a cutting board because it's much easier to do a cutting board than it is to clean up than like just my countertop. So we're just gonna take this sourdough. Lots and lots and lots of sourdough. We even have more in here. So, okay, what we're gonna do at this step right now, I'm gonna flour this because it's very, very, very sticky. And I'm gonna use my bench scraper to kind of peel up off of the bottom. Now, that's why you have your flour, so you can kind of play with it and it's not gonna be super, super sticky. And at this point, you're going to cut your sourdough in half, so it's easier to work with. So we're just gonna cut this in half, and we're gonna set the other half aside. So I'm actually gonna take all of this, and I'm gonna put this back into the bowl, and now we are working with this beautiful piece of sourdough. Now you're gonna get messy, so don't wear anything nice. But at this point, you're gonna use your bench scraper just to kind of pick it up off the bench. So after we divide it into 2, now we're gonna do some stretch and folds. So we're gonna stretch it, we're gonna roll it up, we're gonna do it again, we're gonna just kind of roll it into each other. And the more you can play with it, the better, but you don't want to add too much more flour if you don't have to. Like this one seems pretty good right now, but as I'm stretching and folding, it might need a little bit more. So I'm just gonna stretch the dough, stretch it out, and you're just building tension, which is gonna help to create some of those really nice bubbles in your sourdough. And you're just gonna roll it into itself. You see all the bubbles coming out? It's getting a little sticky, so I'm just gonna put this on here, and I'm gonna roll it up into itself again, and then I'm gonna do it one more time. You wanna do this like, I'd say 4 or 5 times, stretch and fold. And then you're just gonna take the bread and you're gonna push it away and bring it back. And you're gonna push it away and bring it back. Again, building tension, so it creates those beautiful bubbles in the dough. and it's getting a little sticky. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this, and then I'm gonna pick it up, and I'm just gonna let it sit here on my cutting board while I do my next loaf. Okay, so here is our second loaf. I'm just gonna flour it. Again, you might need your bench scraper to kind of get it off the bottom. Okay, so we're gonna let these two beautiful loaves just sit out on the countertop for about 20 minutes, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so for your next step, what you're gonna do is take your proving baskets. I have one of each size, and you're just gonna put some flour in the inside of those baskets. Super easy. Then you're gonna do your stretch and fold one more time, and then put them into your baskets covered. I covered them with just some dishcloths for 2 hours in the fridge. Okay guys, the final part of this process. So it's the end of the day. Right now it is about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I've had the Dutch oven in the oven preheating at 425 for about 15-20 minutes with the lid on. So you want to keep the lid on the Dutch oven while it's heating up, so when you put your sourdough in the pot, it's already heated up and it doesn't have to warm up once you put it in, you know, if it wasn't already in the oven. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna take some parchment paper and you're gonna just rip this off. Now, another trick is you wanna just like crinkle this up so it lays really nice in the pan. So we're just gonna crinkle this up and lay it out and put some flour over top. Okay, you wanna come help me? Okay, come up here. Come over here, this side. Okay, sprinkle some flour.
I already do flour.
Okay, sprinkle some flour. Okay, you're gonna help me do the next one, okay? Look how beautiful. Yep, there's 2 loaves. Okay,
Can I watch?
so Jordy, you sprinkle on here.
I'm gonna watch it. Is that okay?
Okay.
All the viewers, please give this a like.
That's
and
right.
subscribe
Like,
to this video.
subscribe.
Whatever you can to support my mom. Mom.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna put this lid back on. So now what we're gonna do, now that we have this all
Yeah, my mom is right.
floured up, we're just gonna take this and we're gonna...
Let's get this video to 100,000 likes. Please like and subscribe. It's a very awesome video.
That's right. Okay, so you're just gonna score this. I wanted to get up close here. And I just do a really like easy pattern. I like to do some wheat stalks. So I'll just do some like little 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll do one on the left. Maybe I'll do one down the middle here. And then I'll do a deep C. And we're gonna put this in the oven for 425 for 30 minutes. Okay, final step. We're just gonna take off the lid of the sourdough And we're going to let this, oh my gosh, you guys, amazing. Oh, it's so good. Okay, so we're gonna take the lid off now and we're gonna let this bake for another 5 to 10 minutes. Now keep an eye on it because you don't want it to brown up too much. So what I like to do now is turn the dial from 425 down to like 300. Like just turn it down and now set the timer for about, I'd say 5 or 6 minutes. And keep an eye on it so it doesn't crisp up too much on the top. If you like it a little bit crispier, then do the full 10 minutes. But this is where I'm really like babysitting it the last 10 minutes here and making sure that it's not browning too much on the top. You do want like a crispy, not crispy, you want just like a brown to the top, a light brown, but you don't want it to be like charred. So that's why I turn it down. I set it for about 5-6 minutes. I keep an eye on it and then we will take it out and have beautiful homemade sourdough bread. Almost there. Stay tuned, we're still close. Final product. Let's get it out of the oven, here we go. Literally perfection. Oh my gosh, you guys. Perfection. Okay, it is 7:30 and our sourdough is out of the oven. Take a look. So good. Oh my gosh, you guys. She is big, she is large.
She's actually the best. Epic!
So we are very excited to cut into this and have some Franny. This made 2 loaves, so I have
like and subscribe this video and let's get this video to 100,000 likes, please.
Okay, so we are going to take a bite into it tomorrow. We're gonna let her chill for a little bit. And then tomorrow morning we'll come back and Jake will be our taste tester. We have some homemade butter we're gonna put on, maybe a little bit of honey. Maybe some cinnamon sugar, I don't know.
Ooh.
But there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a beauty. The
final review will be tomorrow. But that's all she wrote for tonight. I hope you have an amazing time making your sourdough. Make it with your kids, enjoy it, have so much fun. And if you have any questions, comment below, let me know and I'll answer your questions as they come.
Answer this big fat loaf, please. Comment that down below.
All right, guys, have a good night and enjoy your sourdough.
Taste it.